As some of you may know by now, on the 22nd of August 2021, the creator of Plastic Apocalypse, Michael Lachman, posted an eBay listing saying that he was selling his entire Plastic Army Men collection for $4,000 US. A few days later, it was sold, and with that, Plastic Apocalypse came to a total, official end. So what happened? Well, the lead to this has been a long time coming, and for some of us, PA has been dead in the water for a long time, and it just needed that final sort of nail in the coffin. Mike created Plastic Apocalypse as a summer project, an amateur backyard film with friends that any budding filmmaker would do. Posted on the 1st of September 2011, the film currently sits at a crazy 26 million views. I highly doubt Mike expected this type of response, or the road it would lead down to. He would go on slowly over the years to release 3 more long-form Plastic Apocalypse videos, the peak being Sabretooth. Sabretooth was made as a student film project, so naturally Mike went all in with this one, the story, effects and scope being upped to like 11. To this day, I consider it the best Army Men film produced, the golden standard. Needless to say, the fans had high expectations for the future of PA. However, this was not going to be. The years that followed, and Mike hinted at various concepts and future ideas, even with some prep, such as the giant Lucifer gun and the set that housed it. But these would not manifest. Instead, Mike set about working on his live-action historical war films. In need of money, his short film Reveille would be the catalyst for the sale of the collection, using the funds gained from that to help produce it. With the collection gone, and Mike moving on to make different types of films, Plastic Apocalypse is effectively over. The response from the fans was utter devastation. We witnessed the 5 stages of grief from the death of Plastic Apocalypse. First, denial, then anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. Well, almost. So how did it come to this? I had known for some time that Mike wasn't interested in making Plastic Apocalypse anymore, so the news of the sale came as no real surprise to myself personally. But for a lot of people who didn't have these lines of communication, this naturally came as a shock. The reasons for it are actually pretty straightforward. What we all know is that Mike is a film buff and a huge history fan, particularly for the Second World War. He is also a fan of plastic soldiers, given they are a part of his childhood and made for good subjects in amateur backyard war films. But here is where we draw a distinction. Mike is a World War II enthusiast, first and foremost. While it is clear he is a fan of Army Men, what Mike has really wanted to do as a filmmaker is create more serious, mature films. He has made various project concepts before, such as an animated D-Day film pitch, Bloody Omaha. Plastic Apocalypse was a hobby film made for fun, which also provided the means for ideas and storytelling to be practiced and refined without the hassle of directing actors or having a huge set. But that is what Plastic Apocalypse was, a hobby. Mike was not being financially supported by Plastic Apocalypse, nor was his goal to make YouTube his career. Mike had ambitious ideas for Plastic Apocalypse, that is for sure, but as a sort of long-term career or artistic pathway, this was not going to be the case. History was going to be his subject instead. And that is what we are getting to. Reveille is Mike's current project, a film based on Audie Murphy's accounts of the Second World War, fighting the Germans in Italy. For some time, this project has grown in scope, pushing aside any future PA plans, such as the proposed Lucifer episode. Mike got serious, assembling actors, production crew, producers, and funding for this new film, firmly establishing it as the direction he'll be taking in the future. And in order to secure funding, this is where the final nail in the Plastic Apocalypse coffin was delivered, for the sale of his entire Army Men collection. This is pretty much the end of the story, in a way. With the collection gone, Mike had shed any means of carrying on the series. He had sold his toys and moved on, in a way. This is a pretty straightforward sort of explanation. A creator wanting to take his career to a new level. Now, I want to touch on something briefly when it comes to creators making big changes in direction or trying to create something new. It is bound to happen at some point, as it can be frustrating and boring to always be locked into one category. I myself have long since accepted that my channel is pretty much dependent on Army Men content. This is fine, and I will always do other stuff, and when a creator does so, there is expectations on the kind of response or support that they will get. Fans are something fine to want more of the things that they enjoy, but they should also keep in mind when a creator wants to try something new, they don't want that previous project to still be nagging at them at the back of their mind or constant reminders. An example would be a large number of the comments on my Warhammer video talking about Plastic Army Men videos when I'm going to make a new one or something like that. I'm glad you guys like my stuff, but it can be a bit disheartening when a video I worked on for months is just ignored by the commenter who just sort of uses it as a means to ask about Army Men again. Mike elected on his Reveille trailer just to delete any comments asking about Plastic Apocalypse. Now, support for something you like is good, but I think most creators would like it also to be directed in the sort of right place in a way. This is not me saying that you are forced to, enjoy or move on with the creator and embrace the new stuff that they're doing, but I think one should accept that when a creator wants to change direction, they should be allowed to do so and try and break away from the old thing when they do something new without having to have constant reminders of it. It's a small little thing in a way, but I do think it's important, especially when it comes to Mike wanting to move on and try something new, trying to just ditch Plastic Apocalypse pretty much altogether. It doesn't do any good to sort of hound him or try and catch up on him and stuff like that to make him change his mind or anything like that, because he's not changing his mind. It's over. And it's probably better just to accept that this has happened and let Mike work on his project without having to worry about Plastic Apocalypse anymore. A little mini rant in a way, you could probably say, but I do feel it's important in this sort of context with the type of change that Mike is making and how people have been responding to it. Plastic Apocalypse is over, but that's okay. We got 4 films, each of a considerable length, real solid episodes. We got enough content to watch and enjoy. Sure, there is a cliffhanger for the main PA storyline, but most of it has been wrapped up well enough. And no, I will not be carrying on making Plastic Apocalypse films. That is not my interest. Like I said, Plastic Apocalypse was Mike's thing, and I want to do my own stuff. As for others carrying on Plastic Apocalypse, I saw some people asking about this, but I have no expectations of that really happening. It is unlikely any person that can reach the quality hit by Sabretooth would want to carry on making Plastic Apocalypse when they could probably be more interested in making their own thing instead. As for storytelling, Mike has his own style when it comes to these war stories, a realism and brutality that I haven't seen replicated either. I say that Plastic Apocalypse should just be left where it is, with Sabretooth acting as the best send-off it could have received. What needs to happen now is accepting Mike's choice and moving on. Nothing is more frustrating for a creator than being typecast into one particular thing. An artist can't be stuck making the same thing for the rest of their career. It is too unreasonable. Creators don't have all the time in the world, and they will abandon some projects in favour of others that they want to do. The audience doesn't need to be forced to watch or stick around for this change, but they should support it either way, not hounding the creator to return back to the old project. It can lead to some resentment and frustration. Now, I leave you on a positive note. Don't be sad it was over, be glad it happened. Plastic Apocalypse inspired a whole new wave of Army Men films to be made, including my own channel. We have been lucky to get such content. So go out there and discover what else has been created, anything new that's come up. We have a lot of us working on some big things, and if given the same amount of support Plastic Apocalypse received, these creators might just be able to create something much better in the future.